Welcome back to Mind Pump TV. I'm your host, Adam Schaefer. Moving on to triceps with you guys. We're gonna do a dumbbell tricep skull crusher. Now, I've chosen to do this with dumbbells instead of with a barbell for a reason. Now, you can totally do these with a barbell or a camber bar that's bent. Some gyms have different variations of bars that you can use. All of those worked, all of those are fine. The reason why I like to teach with dumbbells first is because of the position that you actually will grab the dumbbells. When you do dumbbell skull crushers, you're actually going to grab in a neutral position on your wrist. Now, why I like to teach this way is when people do a bar, they have to be able to completely rotate their wrist all the way around. So not only do you have to have good wrist mobility, but then you have to have good mobility in your shoulders. And what tends to happen is people flare out because they don't have good mobility in the shoulders or they don't have good wrist mobility. And so it's just a little bit harder to teach the good mechanics with a bar. So I like to teach good mechanics with the dumbbells first, and then if you want to progress or utilize a bar later on, then that's totally fine too. All right, now let's talk about posture and elbow position with this movement. So when I get into this, I'm going to lay all the way back down on this bench, but before I do, I'm going to demonstrate where you guys want to keep your elbows. Now, a lot like the bicep curl, the key to this is keeping these elbows in a fixed position while we do the movement. What do I mean by that? Is when I lay back on the bench, the elbows I'm going to have at a nice 90-degree bend. And so if you can imagine my dumbbell being held here, my wrist, I'm holding the dumbbell in a neutral position, and this is where my starting position is going to be, and then I'm going to extend the dumbbell all the way out, and then I'm going to resist it on the way back down. And that dumbbell should come right by my ear, right by the side of my head. Now, what happens a lot of times when people do this exercise is they start to rock with the shoulder and the elbow. That starts to engage the lats and the delts in this movement, and we're trying to work just the triceps. So if I'm trying to work just the triceps, I want to get that elbow in a fixed position. A lot of times when I'm training a client, if you have a partner, I'll push my hand against them so they have something so they have feedback, they can feel that. So while they extend, they can feel that their elbow is staying in a fixed position and they're only really working the tricep. All right, so now we're going to talk about why I like to do this with a single arm instead of doing both together. So typically we would address this like we would the bicep curls and we teach both arms together. But the triceps, I actually like to do single arm first to teach people mechanics. And the reason why is because it doesn't require a partner to use. You can use your opposite hand to help guide you and make sure you have good form. So what I mean by that, I'm going to lay back and you're going to see my free hand. I'm going to use that against my elbow. So I'm actually going to take my hand against my elbow so that as I go through the movement, I can tell that my elbow is staying in a fixed position. So that's what's nice about this exercise and being able to use the opposite hand to guide it. So I grab hold of the dumbbell. Where I want to grab my dumbbell to, in this case, is I'm going to rock backwards, I'm going to grab towards the bottom because when I flip it back over, the weight's going to be resting against the bottom of the palm of my hand, which this will put less stress on your guys' wrist. Again, it's not wrong if you grab it in the middle. It's not wrong if you grab the top. If you grab towards the bottom here on this one, it's going to just support your wrist a little bit more. So we're going to lay all the way back. We start up in the straight position right here. Now, this is where I'm going to take this free hand and I'm going to take it, I'm going to place it against the elbow. Now, what I want is when I come right down to 90 degrees, I want this elbow to stay in this fixed position. So I keep that opposite hand right there so I can feel my elbow staying stationary. Most common mistake that you see with this exercise is the movement, the rocking of the elbow back and forth. That's when you start to feel shoulders and that's when you start to feel lats. So I want to keep that elbow in that fixed position the entire time. And this is why I like to do this with a single arm first until I get the mechanics down really well and I feel like, okay, I can naturally hold my elbow in that position without using the opposite hand to help keep it there. Now, once I learn to do that really well, then it's easier to go and grab two dumbbells because now they're both independent. It's a little bit harder for me to get that feedback without either a gym partner touching my elbows for me or myself grabbing my elbow and making sure that it stays in that fixed position. So I got a nice neutral grip. I'm coming down nice and slow and controlled. So again, the eccentric or the negative, that's about 4 seconds on the way down. I resist, flex the tricep, extend all the way. Now, locking out the joint. If you lock the joint out and then you rest it, that's bad for the elbow. But you can do a full extension all the way out as long as you're keeping the tricep flex. So I'm keeping the tricep flex. There's tension in the muscle. Totally fine to go full extension and lock out the joint as long as you're not locking it out and resting the tricep. That's where you can become dangerous. So I keep tension in the tricep, resist the way down, all the way down to 90 degrees, and then full extension all the way up, keeping that elbow and shoulder in those fixed positions. All right, if that video helped you guys out, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. Also, if you guys have more questions regarding the cues or other points, guys, just leave them in the comments below. We'll be coming back, visiting periodically, and answering your questions. Also, if you like the information that we provided in this video, we have tons of free information. You guys can go to mindpumpfree.com or click the link below.